Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be a dungeon guide for the Ice Golem, so let's get into it. Alrighty, so first of all, before I jump into the video, I did want to show you this cool picture I came across. This is from the PC version of the game that is supposed to be in the works and currently, you know, hoping to get it soon, but this is a cool little, you know, it's focused in on kind of the martyr charging in on the golem, so kind of a cool look there at something we could expect to see on the PC version. So that's just something I came across that I wanted to show when I was kind of, you know, working on this video. So, you know, I'll go over the sets that drop in the golem, and I'll show the final stage, the you know, stage 20 of the golem, talk about all the champions that are good and all of that. So first of all, if we go dungeons, this is the Ice Golem's Peak. It is a pretty tough dungeon with some interesting mechanics. I wouldn't say it's the toughest dungeon. I would say probably the Spider Den and the Fire Knight are the two toughest. And then that next tier, you know, the Golem would slide in there somewhere. And then out of the gear dungeons, the Dragon is probably the easiest to like speed farm in the end game. So Ice Golem is kind of somewhere in the middle, and it can definitely present a lot of problems and be tough to get a team that can farm it reliably at 100% win rate on auto in the end game because of a couple mechanics that I will go over. So, but the Ice Golem probably drops the, what's the words I'm looking for, the most generally useful sets. So, you know, we get life, offense, and defense are staples of like your baseline level of gear for your army. And so the fact that it drops those three sets means that you're going to be getting something that's at least usable somewhere very often. And then crit rate is also a pretty useful set because a lot of our damage dealers need to get a really high crit rate, so that set is also good. We also get retaliation, is the 25% chance to counterattack, can be useful on champions that have a really good A1, because remember, when we counterattack, we use our A1. Resistance can be really good in certain situations like faction wars, the boss fights. It's vital to avoid those horrible fear debuffs by the boss, so resistance can be good there in faction wars. Reflex can be good on champions that have, you know, like one skill that their strength really revolves around, and if you can get that reflex, like if they only have one skill that has a cooldown, reflex can be really good if that one skill is very impactful. Someone like a Bad Alcazar, whose malice ability is his only cooldown, a reflex set would be you know, a good gearing choice for a champion like Bad Alcazar. The cursed and the taunting are not very good. They're probably the worst two out of the Ice Golem peak drops. The cursed set should be a two-piece set. I think that would balance it decent. If you just literally the only change you made was change that to a two-piece set, it'd be at least have some utility at some places in the game. Same with taunting. If you just made it a two-piece set, it would slide into at least being viable in certain situations. But a lot of the other sets are at least worth having a good set of. So the Ice Golem has a really good variety of generally useful gear, and thus it is a dungeon that I actually farm a lot. So I will go ahead and show you my team and kind of the thought process here. So the Golem in the end game, at least now in the early stages of the game, it's going to come down to, you know, just being stronger than the dungeon. You know, basically until you get to the end stages, it's just about doing a good job progressing and slowly snowballing, getting better and better champions, better and better gear, and just kind of playing at the level that is the most optimal for you to farm at 100% win rate on auto. Now, in terms of the end game, we kind of need to play. Now, you can do like a speed farm, glass cannon, you know, nuke strat, but it's going to be unreliable. Like I got something on my eye, sorry. I do have, like, if you look at my best times, I have done level 20 in 2 minutes, which is insane for the Ice Golem. Like, most of my runs are 5 to 6 minutes, but I was just testing stuff out one day, and I was able to get a 2-minute run in, but it's extremely inconsistent, and it would have, like, a 40% win rate, maybe even less. So it's just not realistic if you're trying to be efficient with your energy and your gems and your refills and all that. So in order to get a 100% win rate, I need a more sustained style, where I've got lots of HP, lots of healing. I've got the Doom Priest for debuff cleanse, which I'll get into as we're kind of playing the Ice Golem, a massive HP aura, and I'm going to kind of play a slower style. I have the Arbiter there to res in case I die. My Tyrell tends to die in the second wave, which is another thing I'll go over. But yeah, let's just kind of jump into it here, and I'll kind of show you my endgame Golem strategy. So here on the first wave, probably the most annoying part is the two like holy girl champions in the front. I think they're like Penitent or something. I don't know what their exact name is, but they actually have like a block debuffs ability and a counterattack. So you can get into a situation where the battle kind of drags out and they're sitting there with their slow melee counterattack all the time. They're blocking debuffs, they're cleansing themselves and counterattacking. So, you know, the first wave can be a little bit annoying, and the second wave can also be annoying for certain mechanics that I'll go over here in just a little bit. I think the other champion is a Raider. Yeah, see, there's the counterattack and the blocking of the debuff. So now they're going to sit here and counterattack constantly, and it kind of slows down your run, and you can't debuff them at all. Alrighty, and now wave 2 is going to be interesting because the hounds there, they cast a reflect damage, and it will just murder you. If you bring characters that hit hard, they'll like one-shot themselves, especially if they do AoE. So right there, you can see the team-wide reflect damage will just absolutely shred characters that do high amounts of damage. So for the end game of the Ice Golem, it's really good to have some damage over time, some like poisons and HP burns and stuff, but you have to be careful with that because of how the Ice Golem's mechanic works. It actually, you know, once it hits certain thresholds of hit points remaining, he will do a really strong attack, especially if his 2 minions are alive, and it will literally one-shot your whole team. And damage over time procs can cause him to instantly like do that against you. So it can be really hard to kind of manage all of this, you know, and bring the right amount of damage over time and like damage dealing characters that won't die to the reflect. And that's why I have to bring Arbiter, which resurrects. So I will go over the abilities here. The passive is what I was talking about there. Frigid Vengeance attacks all enemies one time whenever Clissus's HP drops below 80, 60, 45, 30, and 15%. This attack will revive any dead allies to 100% HP. This attack ignores 50% of each enemy's defense for each alive ally. So basically what this means, when he hits those damage thresholds, he is going to do an attack. And if his minions are both alive, he will ignore 100% of your defense. So you have to kill the minions and manage the minions, get them down, or else if those minions are alive, he can one-shot your whole team by ignoring all the defense. He will also resurrect his 2 minions, but if you have a block revive, like if you killed them with a character skill that blocks revive, it will work. The golem will not revive them once they are killed with a skill like that. But it's tough to get consistent value out of that ability on auto. It's just, so I don't even really bother trying to build for that, because I find the characters like Phoenix that have it, they just don't proc it often enough on auto for it to make sense. But yeah, this attack also has a 20% chance to place freeze for 1 turn. The chance of placing a freeze debuff increases by 40% for each alive ally. So basically, again, if both allies are alive, he's got a 100% chance of placing that freeze. So a very tough boss, especially if you do not manage the minions and burst them down. That minion on the left side will place a heal reduction, which is brutal to deal with. And that's why I really wanted to bring the Doom Priest to cleanse those debuffs every round, so that I'm able to, you know, keep my team alive and not have that constant healing reduction. So I actually have 2 characters that cleanse. I've got the Doom Priest and the Battle KORSAIR, and the reason being is to keep those heal reductions off of my team. Now on auto, your team tends to burst down the minions first, which is good, but once the golem gets down to like 15 or 20% health, they will actually start attacking the golem. I believe once the golem has less max HP than the minions, your team will switch to targeting the boss instead of the minions, which can put you in a tough spot where you're not focusing down the minions, and then he starts getting off his abilities while both of his minions are alive, and then he's one-shotting your whole team. So, you know, in the end game at like level 20, there can be a lot of RNG that goes into building like a 100% win rate strat against the golem in level 20. So even though this team is a little bit slower, it's normally about like 445 to 530 is kind of my typical run here on level 20. Now obviously the timer will be a lot longer because I had it paused to explain a few things, but typically if I don't pause it, if I just run it on auto, will be about that 445 to 545, somewhere in that minute, which, you know, I'm perfectly happy with if it's a 100% win rate, because the golem can be pretty tough to kind of get the right balance of poisons and damage over times and damage dealers, so that you're not killing him too fast before you can get the minions down, and you're also not murdering yourself to that reflect damage on wave 2. So this was kind of the best route that I found myself kind of going with. But, you know, there you can see if you bring enough sustain and enough cleansing, you're able to kind of manage everything and go at the right speed where you can manage how the abilities are going to proc against you. And, you know, I was able to finally kind of get a team that will have a 100% win rate. If you watch my stream, you'll know I really struggled with getting to that point. I was building teams for a while that would be at like a 75% win rate and just keep randomly getting one shot and dying. See, and now they're targeting the golem. Once he got below like 20% health, they started targeting the golem instead of the minions. And in this area is where it can kind of get tough on you. There's that heal reduction from the minion on the left. And there we have it. Ooh, and we got a 5-star legendary. Pretty bad. Normally we want speed as the main stat on boots. Not always, but typically, and you definitely don't want a flat stat like that. So we will go ahead and just sell that. You know, real quick, I will show my champions. Let's see here. I know some people are kind of curious just to see the gear really quick of the party that I was using. This is an arbiter that you get for free if you're able to kind of get to the end game and complete all those progress missions. We've got some really good speed on her because she is my leader in the arena, so I just went with speed and sustain. My bad Alcazar is the same thing, just kind of speed, HP, sustain, and his main purpose is to proc that malice ability and just you know, heal and then apply poisons to the enemy team. My Lord Champ for it was there just for, you know, mostly his aura and a little bit of damage and a decreased attack. So we can see that we went with speed and HP on him. I used to use Dracomorph, but not really anymore. Doom Priest is a really good champion for the Ice Golem. She is S tier because every turn she's going to cleanse that healing reduction debuff, heal reduction debuff. So I just went, you know, speed and sustain on her. And who was the other one? Tyrell. I went with him because he's just a good defense character with turn meter manipulation and, you know, one of my better geared champions because I use him against the clan boss. So we can see here we've got speed and sustain on him with a decent 75% crit rate just to help him do a little bit of damage along the way. So yeah, that's going to kind of do it for this video on the Ice Golem. If you have any questions, drop it down in the comments and I will do my best to help you out. So as always, have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Peace.